Yo, what's up guys? You got PokeaimMD here with some tournament coverage. We have the World Cup of Pokemon. We have my teammate Finchinator versus Smurf. Now, they're playing Black and White OU, and I thought that one of the best ways to cover this, that way I don't butcher anything, and because my friend actually, agreed to it, I have Finch here with me so he can talk about his thought process, talk about the theme, and feel free to introduce yourself, my man.
Hey guys, it's Finch. What's up?
Yes, wow, dude, you type like 10 paragraphs and replies on Smogon, but you get 3 words here. All right,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about the matchup a little bit and, going into it, and what was your thought process?
Sure. All right. So first off, I'm using a rain offense team because my opponent tends to use a lot of more offensive builds, and I figure I've got a lot of firepower and speed control, such as Latios, which is fast, Scarf Keldeo in the rain, which hits insanely hard and is fast, and Choice Band Extreme Speed Dragonite. So it just works out pretty well against his normal stuff.
Yeah.
And he actually switched it up a bit and is using a Sun team built around trapping with Diglett and Wobbuffet from Eject Button Ninetales, really cool, and Magma Storm Heatran, another very interesting set for my opponent Smurf, and then Volcarona as a win condition. So he's got a lot of tools to lead to a Volcarona sweep, whereas I've got a couple countermeasures, but it's going to be hard. We both really have to stick to our plans to see who's going to win here. Sun vs. Rain is traditionally a more Sun-favored matchup, but since his team was kind of all in on Volk, and I did have a Volk check and Dragonite, it was much more even, or maybe even favoring me slightly. But this is kind of the epitome of Black-White overused right now. There's a lot of weather and some trapping. I mean, Dugtrio did just get banned, but even then, it's still pretty controversial. So we're going to see a lot of cool elements of the tier right now. Well, maybe not cool per se, but important.
But important, well, exactly. Ones that actually make sense. Like, and you might guys be thinking, well, Diglett doesn't make a lot of sense. Well, it's a weather-based tier, guys. You have sand, rain, sun. Even with the limits to it, Diglett still traps what it needs to. It traps Heatran, so Volcarona, as you can say, as you said, Smurf has his win con. His win con is literally Volk. His win con is literally Volk.
Basically, win with Volcarona, or at least get a couple kills to where, like, say, Starmie or Heatran can win. Exactly. Volcarona is the main win condition.
Exactly. And I love what Finch brought here because it deals with, I think he in the matchup wise, it deals well with what he has, but also it dealt with the Scizor, Garchomp, Volcarona, Starmie builds that Smurf loves to use as well.
Yeah, the weatherless offense that not only did he use a lot, but he essentially created and popularized.
Exactly.
And he's a really creative, interesting builder, so I was honored to play him here.
No, I think this is going to be a great game. So what's your thought process leading with your lead and whatnot?
Well, I actually kind of had a pre-game kind of plan. I mean, basically, I was hoping to face either Weatherless or Rotom W Sand because my Politoed is EV without space Rotom W, and if I get it asleep with Hypnosis, which is a risky proposition, but it's worthwhile usually, then that essentially opens up the game a ton for me. But otherwise, if he's using Weatherless, then I just get my rain up for free, and then not only Starmie, but also Keldeo, Hydro Pump Surf, and Latios' Surf, which is very spammable in rain, all get boosted. So I figured in most matchups I lead Politoed. However, here, I noticed that his Latios checks were kind of lacking. In the Sun, Heatran can, but it has to be offensive on this team. It has to be a Magma Storm Trapper set, just because that only makes sense with all the other Trappers. So I figured I'm going to lead Latios, because he definitely has to lead Ninetales, And I figure if it's not Protect, then I'm going to get a trick off on the Heatran or the Wobbuffet. But he actually scouts me out here, so I figure, okay, worst case he goes for like a Wisp or Hidden Power Ice here, so I go Politoed.
Nah, that's a smart one too. Trick is actually really crucial in this too, especially because he has Wob, so that will allow you to 1v1 it depending on your set.
And his Protect there was a really smart move because he couldn't risk taking a Draco, but it also lets him see, okay, what is he going to go to? Because 95% of Latios in this tier are choice right now. Life Orb has kind of fallen out of favor in recent years.
I mean, Specs Latios is broken too. 2 Achilles, 2 Tower Rocks. Like, I think it honestly should be banned in Black and White, but that's my opinion.
I mean, a lot of people say it should be, but it would cause so much changes in the tier, and it's like an old gen now, so it's kind of controversial. But I do think it's broken, but that's another story for another day, of course.
Yes, okay. So you bring in Politoed on Wisp, which is still smart. I love the way that you're already playing before the game and before the game even starts, that you already know this is Eject Button Ninetales.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be Eject Button because, like, for example, the lefty Sun team often uses it, and that has like Weavile and Goth and Dig and other Suns do. A Sun team that I used with Darmanitan, which is more of a novelty team, also had it. But yeah, it opened up to Trappers, so it's great.
Yeah, and it can come in on Toad once, and then I love how like you're playing around this.
Yeah, like if I were to attack into it here, for example, then he'd get Eject Button, and then he'd win the game straight up.
Yeah, because no rain means you can't kill Heatran.
But anyway, I noticed that he's Protect, so getting in Starmie is pretty straightforward, because I'm actually a Natural Cure offensive variant, which BKC suggested, which is really neat. It has longevity and leftovers instead of analytic. I don't need the power for Hydro Pump here either, so I just get it in for free.
You miss
And then
on
he goes to
Diglett.
his Water Resist Diglett. Which is fine.
This is actually pretty. This makes a lot of sense too, because as you guys see, the fact that he gets in Starmie on Rain is huge. Ninetales
Yeah.
did not go for Sunny Day that turn, which was an option he can make, but a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, I think
of
it
play.
was risky because if I was Scarf Politoed, he didn't know if I was Scarf Politoed or potentially Scarf Latios, because Scarf does run Trick on Latios, or even Scarf Keldeo. So him protecting there was 100% a good play by him, a precautionary measure, but me going to this was just saying, okay, if he whiffs or something, I'm Natural Cure, so it's fine. And he also has no safe switch until he knows my set.
Exactly.
I'm not analytic, so Wobbuffet does wall me. Like it takes like 40%, 45% in the rain, but it would eventually win the 1v1.
Yeah.
But I figure worst case I could do that trade, and best case I get another kill because he has no other switch. But I mean, I guess this is the switch, which is fine.
Yeah.
He doesn't really need it anyway.
I mean, Diglett doesn't do crap versus you. You have no
Yeah,
T-Tar, no
like,
Heatran.
look, this is nothing he could trap on my team. And also, note that Diglett does 47% with Earthquake to an offensive Starmie, and it just kind of shows how weak it is.
Yeah.
But when you get super effective hits on like Heatran, for example, or Tyranitar, then it could do enough damage where it's effective. So don't laugh at it for using Diglett. It's a viable option.
No, for sure. That's like I said, guys, it traps what it needs to. Tyranitar and Heatran. It's the same thing. When Diglett got suspect tested in Gen 7, Diglett got suspect tested. Woo. When Dugtrio got suspect tested, people were using Diglett for Rex, and it worked.
Yeah,
I was one of
exactly.
them. I was using Diglett stall.
Yeah, no, they were using it on stall. It worked the same way. It was maybe a bit less effective because it was a bit less catch-all trapping.
Yeah.
But it still worked. It did what you needed to, and if you played the game well, then it worked.
Exactly. So let's bring it back to here right now. So you knocked out Diglett, Ninetales comes out. So what are you thinking as you bring in Politoed?
Well, I figure I don't know if he is Sunny Day because a lot run Wisp Protect, and then he could run, for example, Rest for longevity, or he could run Hidden Power Fighting to hit Balloon Heatran, and Tyranitar, or he could run Dual Status. I've seen Hypnosis, Toxic, and it has to be Flamethrower or Fire Blast too. So I figured there's a good chance he's not Sunny Day, and regardless, getting Politoed in is just safe because I could potentially throw off a Toxic or whatever.
Yeah.
But then he's Sunny Days, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to Latios just to be safe. I maybe get a trick off. I don't think he's going to stay in. I think he's going to try and trap the Politoed there. So that kind of worked out there. It was a bit of a middle ground. But yeah, then I get the trick off. And this is perfect.
Yeah, this actually works amazing too because of your set in particular. Because your trick recover, which is amazing for Wobbuffet. So Wobbuffet becomes essentially less of a threat to you.
Intended for opposing Keldeo, because opposing Keldeo Rain can be really threatening, despite having Dragonite and Starmie of my own. Hydro Pump and Rain is so threatening, especially with Hidden Power Ice, that you just really have to be safe. So it was meant for that, and also you could like 1v1 Ferrothorn and shit. So it just.
And the fact that you get to 1v1 this Wobbuffet really
the leftovers actually helped a ton, but Recover being on my set
was big, especially because like he didn't set up the rain himself, so like Miracle wasn't doing enough. You could always come in on this thing, and leftovers are just fire for you. Like it makes sense that he goes Starmie here too, because like offensively he's not threatening you.
A really interesting turn, and well, I don't know, actually we could play the couple turns, I guess. Then I'll talk about it.
Okay.
Sorry. So I go to Pharaoh just because I'm thinking if it's Specs or like Ice Gem or like Blizzard or something bizarre, then it can't kill the Latios. But then he reveals to be Fire Gem. Now, I actually, can you pause for a sec? I'm sorry.
Yep, no problem.
So, my main thing is, I'm like, this is probably Hidden Power Fire, because otherwise I feel like he might have made a double there. Or just, it doesn't make a lot of sense because he's got Volcarona, Ninetales, even Heatran, and everything is grounded pretty much. So they all take spikes, they'll take rocks. And he knows that I use a lot of Skarmory on Sand and Ferrothorn and Sand and Rain, so it could be Hidden Power Fire, but I didn't expect Fire Gem just because he already has 3 fire types. So I should have probably scouted there, for example, going to Politoed or back to Latios, but at the same time, I couldn't really make much progress from there, so it was almost like I was trapped. Seeing as Analytic, HP Fire Gem would put me in Ice Beam range, and going to Politoed means you could just Thunder or Thunderbolt.
Yep.
And I couldn't let Dragonite's multi-skill break, so I was kind of trapped into that play there, and I wish he wasn't Fire Jump because then I'd get Rocks up, forcing the spin, and if I keep Rocks up, then Volcarona is dead to E-Speed, so it's like not really a game. But yeah, that was a cool set there that really worked out for him, so I applaud my opponent for his creativity there.
No, that was amazing, and I love that a lot too, because like you said, you do have Pokemon that you love to use. Like I mean, I have a bunch of teams for you as well.
That was a great matchup pick.
Yeah, exactly. And
it's a great matchup pick, so I applaud him for taking that risk. It worked out.
It also lets Starmie spin versus everything that's not Jellicent, I feel. And
Yeah, and even Jellicent, if it switches in on Thunderbolt, even though it's analytic, it actually is a 2-hit KO, or at least a roll, depending on your EVs.
yeah, exactly. So that was a really nice pick on Smurf's part. I really like that. But so let's talk a little bit about this when you went Latios right here.
All right, so now I know that he's not Spec, so he can't kill me, and I also know that Draco, I actually called Scarf, but Scarf is the same as Spec's trick. Draco does 100% minimum.
Yeah.
So I get a kill pretty much in whatever, unless he goes Tran, and he went to Tran, and I just Draco'd because I figured I just got a set. And given that damage, I knew that he had to be offensive Tran, which is great to know, because Surf is actually a roll to 2-hit KO in the sun. So, yeah, now I just kind of just sequence, because you know that it's Sunny Day Solar Beam.
Yep.
I wanted to not be -2, because I could have Surfed there, but then the next Surf wouldn't have killed in the sun. But yeah, you see,
Yeah, it's
minimum
an easy
damage
kill.
was 30.3%. So I knew that that was going to basically be a trick, even though I got min there. But he actually switches Boba, which is, I mean, a fine play.
It gives you it gives an encore, but at the
Yeah,
same
it gets
time,
an encore, but at the same time, I've got 5 Pokemon left alive. His team is getting weaker, and I still have like priority. So basically, all I've lost is. But now this is a big turn here, because I figure he's gonna predict a water type to come in on an Ice Beam. So I know that Ice Beam itself, worst case scenario, it only does like 60, 65 max. So
yeah,
I can recover it off until Encore ends, because Black-White Encore mechanics aren't obnoxious like other gens. So that's perfect. And then I just drop the Draco there, and I 2-hit KO the Wobbuffet, and it can't be some custom bullshit, because it's tricked.
exactly,
So
yeah.
that was a perfect sequence for me, and I think he made the right play Thunderbolting, but I just kind of was on top of the ball for a second there. And then he got me this time, but I figured, okay, because I'm fine with that trade since I've got the same amount of Pokemon alive, and I've got the priority and the Scarfer and my weather, so that's I'm fine going 1-for-1 here. And now I figure he probably is going to father the Heatran here, because it's relatively useless at this point, but I mean, I don't gain anything in surfing into Starmie.
Exactly.
That would actually lose me the game, so it's just a risk free. Yeah.
No, exactly. You're making
This
the
is
best
where
play.
it's complicated. So I'm sorry. You could, if you have.
No, I was going to say that was just don't throw away a winnable matchup. You know your game plan. You have Banded Dragonite. You have Scarf Caldeo. That's just a situation where you could have quote unquote flexed on your opponent, but it's a high risk. It's a high risk, little reward, low reward.
Yeah.
Exactly. Why KO that when you can Draco? I mean, and plus exactly. And Draco can miss too, which would have been better for you, because you could have surfed. So
yeah, I agree. But here, now first I had to do some calcs, because I knew that since Draco killed from full, it would do about 50. But I needed to make sure that it was like a Dragonite would kill with E-Speed, and since it's choice banded, it always kills. It was actually a roll if it wasn't banded, but I was banded. I think Smurfs expected me to be DD or mix, but me being banded here was like perfectly ideal. But anyway, I figured, okay, I could get the damage here and then fodder off either one of my water types. But a bit of a controversial part was the next turn, and I decided to fodder Politoed just because I didn't need the rain to win the game.
yeah,
And having Keldeo alive could potentially revenge kill Volcarona after it takes a Draco later on. This is kind of me thinking like 3 or 4 turns ahead. So I think that this was the right play, and foddering the Politoed just wasn't necessary.
no, I
And now
completely.
E-Speed pretty much gets a kill, yeah.
Exactly. If you went Vulcan, be to a kill.
Gold, and they almost all run speed for like Excadrill and a couple other things. So yeah. Now he dodges Wisp, which is unfortunate because it increases my longevity, but I have Recover still. So, and then the eject button turn, that actually helps me, ironically enough. Missing Draco here was pretty irrelevant, but it could have been spun to help him.
Yeah.
I mean, help me rather. But it wasn't relevant because he turned out not to be HBIs on Volcarona. If he was HBIs, then it would have came down to potentially some mind games and me revenge killing with Keldeo, but as you can see down the stretch, I'm pretty much just going to trade Surfs for the Ninetales and a lot of my HP, and then I'm going to Draco the incoming Volcarona.
Yeah, exactly. And
But
this
then it
makes
gets
sense too.
complicated.
So talk a little bit about this, because you.
Alright, so basically, I know he's got a Quiver Dance up, exactly, so yeah. Now, the thing is that Volcarona can run like a million sets, right? It could be a Resto, Chesto Berry, it could be like Gem, Fire Blast, or Gem, HP Ice. It could be Morning Sun, but the Draco damage revealed that it was 0 HP, 0 special defense, or like close to that. Because it was a mid-roll on that, so I figured I'm going to be fine regardless. Now, the reason I kept Keldeo is because if he, let's say, is Hidden Power Ice and Ice Gem, or like Life Orb, and gets a max roll on my Dragonite and kills it through a multi-scale, which shows how ridiculously strong Volcarona is, then Keldeo can revenge kill it with Sacred Sword or even Surf from this range. But if it is like Rest or Morning Sun and still has Hidden Power Ice, then I live the +1, because there's no way that he's Morning Sun and like Ice Gem.
Yeah,
that would
Ice
be like
Gem.
a ridiculous combination.
Yeah.
So basically, Outrage from Choice Banded Dragonite kills all Volcarona. So kind of is like a checkmate play. Either he kills me and then I win with Keldeo, or he doesn't kill me and I win with this.
Yes,
so it was
correct.
Kind of a catch-all middle ground.
Exactly. Staying in with Latios was probably the worst play. I mean, not the worst play you can make right there, but it was the worst play.
It would have been a choke.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
This would have been a choke. You see my timer went down a bit. I had to really think this one through. And the Smog Twitch chat was saying all kinds of things to try and trick me, but you don't listen to those guys.
Say tricked him to the leftover so he rests himself.
That would have been like really. That would have won the game too, by the way. But that would have been like a really like risky proposition because you don't know what set it is. Like,
exactly. I mean, even then, like if you give him the leftovers too, he can quiver dance up twice and then potentially still win in that regard as well. So no, this was definitely the catch-all play. If he HP iced and was Life Orb, Keldeo won. If he Morning Sunned, that could have been, again, he had to be Ice Gem, like you said. Morning Sun Ice Gem would be it.
Ice Gem only beat me actually. I remember the Life Orb roll with HP Ice as a bulky choice Pandragonite. It was like almost entirely in my favor. So he pretty much had to be like Ice Gem, and then Keldeo could still revenge. So this was just catch-all.
Yep, exactly. And he turned out to be Resto Chesto. Shout out to Smurf, man.
So thankfully I didn't stand in Draco because if it was HPS then I could have gotten bullshitted in some shenanigans, but that worked out, and the Outrage Crit did not matter, and I killed the Awooga, the Volcarona, and I won in a really close match. It might say 3-0, but that came down to the wire with Volcarona, and my opponent brought some really cool stuff, so I'm glad I was part of this game. No, I brought kind of boring, lame standard rain.
Nah, dude, I mean it was still a good game in my opinion too.
Yeah, it was close, and he played well. I think that we both played pretty well, and I'm glad that I got to come out on top in this one.
For sure, dude. I mean, me too. We're in the same team, Northeast. So I think the biggest thing for you was tricking Wobbuffet. Like freeing up your Latios, and the fact that you had Recover was so good in this game. This is probably the best a matchup I could see for Recover, Draco, Surf, Latios.
Yeah,
nothing on this team can kill it.
Or like Ferrothorn Rain when the Ferrothorn doesn't have Gyro Ball, because then you did all that. Yeah,
exactly. So, like I said, dude, this was a well-played game. It was a pleasure to watch.
Thank you very much, man.
I appreciate you, coming on the channel and commentating on this.
Of course. I'm glid to. I mean, I watch all your videos. You put out some great stuff. You got a lot of cool fans, so.
I appreciate that, man.
My voice.
It's been a minute since Finch and I played as well. I think I have a few PO lives versus him, I believe.
Yeah, no, I mean, I used to be this angry kid on the ladder. Now I'm just this angry kid in tournaments.
That's Smogon, yeah. But I hope you guys do all enjoy it. I'll leave Finch's channel down below because he actually does.
Sometimes every now and then I'll probably upload a couple World Cup games.
Exactly. And let me know your guys' thoughts on this too, because I do have a lot of teammates on Northeast, so I don't mind sitting down with them when the game I thought was really interesting and talking about it. We try our best not to be biased. Like we gave Smurf credit for his plays and tried to give his thought process as well.
Yeah, no, he's solid for sure, and I hope he does well in his other games.
Me too. I love Smurf. So we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, my friends.